right, well, Mitchell is
Back.
So I guess we'll go ahead and start because I don't want to waste everybody's time. Appreciate you guys showing up, the ones who are, and we'll run through this. And I guess for the people who aren't here, they can watch the replay. Ash, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still here.
All right.
Bring up the video.
Just make sure. Well, I'm not saying you have to have video. I just want to make sure you weren't like,
No.
on the phone. All right. So the agenda for this meeting, I'm going to go through some ecosystem updates, follow-ups. I got some partner program updates. I'm going to talk about the DNN Road Map, which will roll right into what Ash is going to talk about in the 9.3 release. Then we'll have updates from all of our advisory group leaders who aren't here, except for Poindexter, and I'm already giving a partner program update. So basically we can skip that session. Then we'll have open session if anybody's got anything you want to talk about. I do have one item I want to talk about with the group in the not recorded session. So that's kind of how we'll go here. So as far as the ecosystem updates and follow-ups, obviously, welcome. Appreciate you guys being here. Tomorrow, we're sending out DNN Digest. And so in the editor's note, I'm kind of highlighting some, just the shift back to open source and, community. I did an interview with Kelly Ford and David Poindexter, which kind of, just speaks to them, being leaders, and that is like David taking over the archives and just doing it. Kelly, running, essentially stepping up and taking over the documentation, right? So it's a pretty good interview. I tried to keep it short, but we went a little bit long, so it's fine. I think it's like 15, 20 minutes. Worth your while, but that does go out tomorrow. DNN Connect, yeah, that's a good point. Some of our people that would be here are in Ireland right now, I think, on site visiting the location of DNN Connect. So that's probably another reason we have low numbers here. But DNN Connect is coming up into May, beginning of June. So look for that. If you can make it, make it. The advanced theming webinar, David is on right now. We had that, why did I put yesterday? That was actually today. It's going to be on the digest or on the website tomorrow. So I'm actually rendering the video right now as we are in this meeting. So it was really neat webinar in that typically the way people make skins or themes, this is like a different process, a different build or framework for it. David, feel free to jump in. I know you talked about it for an hour and a half already today. If the way that you build skins or themes is copying the folder, renaming it to what you want it to be, and then just tweaking from there, and then assigning it to a page, then you may want to watch that webinar because you can gain a lot of benefits, just like speed, performance, maintainability, things like that by using the process that David and his team have created. David, anything you want to add or say about that?
You said it really good. Nice modern process. So definitely worthy of checking out.
Yep. Take you a big old gulp of the NV.
Do you have a 5-minute condensed video?
Well, you could play the video on times double speed. So actually those guys are using NPM, Yarn, Gulp, SAS, and they've got a build pipeline. You just download the project, rename it to like whatever you want it to be, and then they're like not thinning, but sectioning out a theme. So like if things that are in the header, footer, and I think David's posting links probably in the chat yet again, but they're having partials, and then essentially you hit build. Well, there's several different commands, but it'll package it up for you into an install zip. It will minify and do all that kind of stuff as well. So and they did a real good job on the documentation as well. So you can see that, but yeah, big good one to watch. But I'm rendering the video. We'll get the blog up either later tonight or early tomorrow. Depends on how early I go to the bar and how long I stay.
Thanks for the invite, bro. Appreciate that.
Well, feel free. Rock Hill. So upcoming events, we got the next Southern Fried DNN meeting where Andrew Heffling is going to, David, what's he talking about? Razor pages, right? His module type.
Yeah, I think he's going to be kind of digging into that a little bit further, talk about that as well as Mike Smeltzer.
Yeah, so Mike
talking about
Spencer, if you're not familiar with him, he's been using DNN a long time. He's in Nova Scotia. Gifford found that out recently at the TUDUG, the Toronto Area User Group. But Mike is getting more involved with the community now. He has created an alternative control panel, and it's called Shine, and it is pretty neat. So be sure to check that one out. The All Things Open conference that I referenced earlier in a meeting, I got an email there leaving their call for speakers open for 2 more weeks. So what that tells me is they didn't like my submission and they're looking for better ones. So if you're, and that event is in Raleigh. Mitchell, did you submit to that yet? You need to, because you need to fly this way.
I didn't. What date is that again?
It's in October. Well, you're going to make me have to go. Allthingsopen.org.
I probably should.
October 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So like right before Halloween, maybe.
Yeah, I should probably submit for that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty big time. I think you should. Okay, I had to hit escape. Now I got to hit the little play button again.
Oh, geez, they have like all of the people there.
Yeah, so I tried to tell you, man. All right, so follow-up items that I had listed. Get DNN software to run on HTTPS. So Ernst Peter had a MVP forum post about this, and so I don't think and that was his forum post was this week, so this conversation started up again. I don't have any updates. I know the JIRA request is in there. I just don't think they have gotten to it yet. Ash, any updates you got on that?
No, I don't have any updates on that either. I think it is definitely on our list, but I don't know when we're going to be able to do it.
Okay. We had that Ash was going to write a blog on how to contribute your open source extension to DNN. And since Ash is a man with many hats and pulled in all kind of different directions, I'm going to try to take that over and lighten his load a little bit. And it rolls into the next thing, which is Oliver Hines' rocket fuel performance, I guess, module that he's going to donate as open source to the platform. So I'm going to try to work with Oliver and Mitchell, because I think Mitchell is slated to review the code for Oliver's module as they go along that process. I'm going to try to document that and, eventually have a blog. So I don't know when the blog would post, but we're, hopefully making some progress there. Mitchell, has Oliver scheduled any time with you, or do I need to?
Yeah, we finally got a chance to chat about that last night. We are meeting on Tuesday after I get done with the security webinar.
Yes.
So right after the security webinar, we're going to go through. Right now, his stuff, exists in kind of an external, not quite ready for inclusion. So we're going to take a look at that, get a plan, get it documented. But we should have something theoretically before the technology group meeting Tuesday.
Gotcha. All right. Can you kind of keep me in the loop on that? I'm not saying I need to be on all the meetings, but I want to kind of document the steps you guys are doing. I'm happy to sit in on meetings, but I want to try to communicate this out to the larger ecosystem. So that would be a favor I would ask if possible.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
All right, so partner program updates. I think everybody knows that we have worked in conjunction with the ecosystem advisory group that David ran, the partners, to get feedback to create a new partner program. We came up with the feedback, we implemented it, we had a partner-specific webinar where we previewed it, and then we had an ecosystem-wide webinar, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, where we, came out with the details and just told everybody what we're doing. After that webinar, people have started submitting, to be listed in the directory. So the updates I have for you is that the new directory is built, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. And right now we're reaching out to current partners, gold level to get their information updated. Then I'll go to silver, and then I will get to the people who are newly, submitting to be a partner. So Mitch, I'll be reaching out to you for your Iowa Computer Guru stuff shortly. So just so you guys can see that, you'll notice that this URL is like Chad test for partner pages. This is just something that we're testing out in, and obviously we're going to move this over to the main partner page. And we're still tweaking, so this is not done this toggle doesn't work yet. But you'll see, for example, we could say, let me see U.S. partners, then it updates, and it may have flickered, but don't worry about it. So every country where we have a partner gets added into the list. And then you can also filter by partner level, and you can filter by partner type. Some people say, can we be both a hosting and an implementation partner? So for example, if I filter by implementation, you'll see we have ITX here. If I filter by hosting, you'll see ITX is still there. And that's just to communicate that you can be multiple types. And then the competencies, right? And these, again, just filter down. So when you scroll down, you'll see, you get like the little overview, their websites, case studies, and then the competencies. And if you click this learn more, or if you just click their logo, then you'll notice it appends the name to the URL. And then this page is a page where obviously there's more information. Some of the information is repeated there. And then they list the website, sponsorships, case studies. So these pages are empty. I've got a meeting with the Contreras guys tomorrow, and we're giving them access. So just to give you insight, if you look at this page, this is like the long version, and everything you see in green, these are areas that the partners can control. So the partner can log in and update their logo, add a video, and update their bio. Awards and sponsorship sections, we're in control of that, because we don't want to let people just say, hey, I was partner of the year 100 times, They can add case studies, OSS contributions. So partners primarily on control, but this is just letting you know kind of how the permissions are set on the page. But that, like I said, is being done. And then, David, I created this partner program overview page. We may want to work with the partner group on this. I realize it's probably lacking visually, but, in hopes of having something quick, this is what I've done is just, a general overview, got the badge. And then you click on each implementation, each partner type, you're taken to a sub page for that type, which essentially has the criteria. Now, I'm not saying this is the best way to communicate it. I'm just saying the information's here, and we as a community can figure out what makes sense for updating this. Now, again, we're only seeing this because I'm logged in. If we aren't logged in, you don't see it. But all of this stuff is going to be live here before too long. So I just wanted to share those updates. Because I know
is there an ETA on when that's going to be, truly live?
Yeah, so I mean, as soon as possible. We had our first meeting yesterday with the guys from ITX, and then I've got 2 meetings tomorrow, and then I'm just scheduling meetings when people are ready. The thing is, Mitchell, I didn't want to turn the partner directory on and all of our partner pages be empty like that one was a while ago.
Right. Well, and that's where I was kind of going. Is like, you got to get through those of us. I mean, we're gathering all of our information so that we have it for you.
Well, and another thing to understand too, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think I know where you're going. You don't have to have all of those case studies and everything ready by the time we have that meeting. You have a 90-day grace period to get those in. We're just trying to configure it so that you can go ahead and update it as you want. So current partners are being grandfathered in, so don't feel like you got to have all that stuff right there. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't want you to feel like, well, there's the webinar popping up. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I got to get all these case studies done by a week from now, because that's not the case. All right, roadmap. So one thing that the MVP group may find interesting is that the DNN Technology Advisory Group is driving the roadmap for DNN platform. And I think I say it just about every MVP meeting, and I'll say it again. If you're an MVP and you're not in an advisory group, then you're missing out, and you should be. One tab that I have open is this Google Doc. So this document here is the roadmap, and this is a shared document in the DNN Technology Advisory Group Google Drive that we look at and share as we collectively work on this. So when we're having technology advisory group meetings, there's like 8 or 9 people in here typing at the same time, making these updates. So again, it's true in that the community is driving the platform. So if you're an MVP, like I said, and you're not part of this, I think you should be. So Ash, I think this kind of rolls into what you were going to talk about, right? Is this the right doc, or what?
Yeah, I was just going to add on to what you're saying. So we were earlier calling the next release to be 9.2.1 as a maintenance release, but we're now calling that as 9.3 because it's not going to be just maintenance. It's going to have a couple of enhancements. One is the GDPR compliance, and the next one is some of the MVC updates from Andrew. So that's why we're calling it 9.3. And currently we're looking at that to be out the first week of May.
Gotcha. All right. Any other updates you want to provide on that?
Yeah. So I do want to say one more thing here is that I think we are, as you can see here, there are 2 more sort of a bullet points: blog on GDPR, and we have volunteered Mitch here and blog on MVC. That's Andrew is there. So we are going to be ahead of the release schedule and be speaking about the releases ahead of time so people have a chance to play with it and give feedback. So, and we're going to encourage community members to actually, those who have participated either in a design format or actual code delivery or giving us the code, then we would want them to actually talk about it as opposed to DNN Corp going in and doing all the blogging. So we have 2 blogs already outlined or defined for 9.3. And that, just like Clint said, that you're missing out on attending DNN Tag or any other advisory group, do attend that. And we're also encouraging everybody to blog about your experiences, hopefully positive experiences with the releases. And if you run into any issues, which you might in any release, please help others in the forums and also help with your own blog post, either on DNN software or on your own site or on GitHub, wherever you can. So we are asking for help with regards to more and more communication and documentation.
Joe Craig says, just bring back the page icon and he'll be happy. Pull request, Joe. All right.
One quick question, Ash, or anybody. So I've had a couple interesting client things come up with removed features. So those things that didn't make the cut in the persona bar, one of which appears to be the proxy settings. I had no idea anybody actually used those. Do we have a list, a JIRA ticket, a magic whiteboard, anything that outlines the things that we no longer have control over, but still work?
You mean you don't have a way to update those? And
right. So the proxy setting, you can't, there's no UI for it, at least not that I was able to find. But if you drop the settings in into the host settings table, all of the APIs work. And
you are going to have to look into, I think there was a mapping that John Kelly had created in the Doc Center about the old UI and what's there in the new UI and what's not there at all. I don't know if you're going to be able to find this particular one, but there was a somewhere in the doc center.
Okay.
Because I remember, I think Adderson probably speaking about that in a video when 9.0 came out, or something like that. I think I saw that. Yeah, so it's certainly out there. And generally speaking, if something was dropped out for a reason, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Brian. If something was left out for a reason, there were lots of actually thoughts given around 9.0. And the plan going forward to bring them back was to have it using now the new prompt, right? So if we feel that there is something that needs to be added, then the prompt is the way to go. If there is enough feedback that we feel that a UI is needed, then we can talk about it. But generally speaking, the whole, one of the main reasons for the prompt is to have these kind of items available there to be updated.
Okay. Yeah, because interesting, the proxy setting isn't even in here. I guess the question, and this is just something for us to think about as we go, there is proxy settings. If we go further through, if we remove a UI, so a new install doesn't have any ability to do it, but we leave the entire functionality in place, are we really shooting ourselves in the foot from a technical debt perspective that now we have literal hidden features that no one knows exists, and those that upgrade are toast if they don't know how to go in and manage the database? Are we better off in the future, right? We can't go back and correct, but are we better off to say, okay, you know what? We don't believe anybody should configure CDN. Let's not support that functionality. Remove the settings, remove the functionality, remove the overhead of what it's doing to check it, since the sites won't be having it. And I guess maybe that's, again, I don't want to derail us too much today. I just am curious, as we look at things as an MVP, as those of us that are looking and supporting more and more sites, is that something that we're at all concerned about as we make future decisions? So sorry for going out of turn there, I guess.
No, I mean, we're basically at the open session portion of the meeting, Mitchell. So I think it's right on. I mean, I've gone over all the content I had, so I think it's a good discussion.
So, Mitch, I want to add one comment here that I think from my perspective, I think it's a great idea to talk about it and keep thinking about it. I think someone needs to champion that. Someone needs to manage that list, what that list might be. So I think there are two schools of thoughts here. One is we completely remove that. I think that's fine. We have to remove technical debt because there are, who knows, security performance issues there. And the second is that, is there a way that we can take it out and put it into the, for example, DNN Connect repo? I realize not everything is like that. If there's something fundamental in the code, either they are in there or they're gone. Right. So what I'm saying is that that's the direction we can take as a group. Where that the two things, well, get rid of it altogether, let people know, right? With blog and whatnot, and then move these things out of the core. But there is a place for that to go into the community area, so it becomes an add-on.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm just thinking as we look at any of the future pull requests or changes that we come in and what we're doing, as well as at some point providing some parity or cleanup for this other stuff. So, okay.
One other thing that we want community's help is in figuring out the editor. Right? We need to have some kind of discussion in future as to what we want to do with the CK editor. There are alternatives. What needs to be done? So that's also, I think, it's an open item for people to think about.
The provider really needs to be rewritten.
Yeah.
Is what.
Because on the Evoke side, there is a different provider. Well, not a provider. There is a different inline editor. It's called Redactor, and that needs to be updated on Evoke as well. Because we're behind on that. There are new versions of that. I don't think that can be made on open source. Actually, I take it back. So so this is part of Q&A, right? So we have on our backlog on the Evoke side to update the Redactor. And when we look into Redactor, they've completely rewritten that as a brand new component, and we're going to be looking into integrating that or possibly something else that ESW uses. They have a standard, but we don't like that standard. We can continue to use a Redactor, but last I checked, they have an open source version. Well, I mean, I think you pay $2,000 OEM, and that gives you open source licensing. So I want to hear from this group to see whether you would want that.
I know from our perspective, what we do in our non-DNN projects is tiny MCE. It seems to be the ones that our customers are most happy with. But I think with any of these editors, there is a concept of licensing that we really have to think about how that works, and then building the right DNN hooks to make it all work.
Yeah, because that has gone. There are so many ways to now do content editing, right? Markdown. There's one aspect of the content editing is the file upload. I mean, that's always problematic. It leads to security holes. We've seen that in the past. So it's a complex topic, but I think we want to slowly start talking about that in our DNN tag group at least. I'm making some notes here as to what else we can talk in our DNN tag group. Perhaps a conversation for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, Joe, I'm seeing these Facebook pictures too. Drinking beer. DNN Connect guys are posting some interesting pictures. But any other items you guys want to discuss in the open session here that is recorded? Patterson, where's your sign for your wall? I don't see it.
I had nothing to say today, I'm quiet today. So no message today.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? All right, if not, I'm gonna